That's one that is just so ridiculous and over the top. If you go into it just knowing what you're getting, that's a fun as hell
Super
movie.
Jason.
Now, Jason Takes
Yeah.
Manhattan still sucks balls, but Friday the 13th, as we learned a few weeks back, it's open season again. Friday the 13th, they settled everything in court and all that, and the whole court thing that was going on where you couldn't make any Friday the 13th movies has been taken care of. It's settled. So now everybody's talking about, so what's next? What are we doing? Who's making a Friday the 13th? What's it going to be? Blah, blah, blah. Is it going to be reboot, sequel to the original, sequel to the reboot, remake? What are we doing here? Well, we still don't know that. However, while doing the rounds for his new Hellraiser movie, director David Bruckner was asked, would he be willing to return to the Friday the 13th series? Now, when I heard that, I was like, return? I don't recall. Did he make the reboot? I don't know. No, apparently he was working on a Friday the 13th film prior to the whole lawsuit thing. And, he put a lot of himself into it. He says, apparently, I think for me personally, it would be hard to find my way back into that now, just because it's like the actor's approach to an audition. You have to just walk away at a certain point and put it behind you. He apparently put a lot of time and effort into it for it to just be scrapped because of the whole lawsuit thing. But apparently from what people saw about it, they said, oh, it was really cool. It was really awesome. This is the Friday the 13th we've been waiting on. He said, also, I spent a lot of time. I worked with some wonderful writers, and I think and I've changed. Those ideas aren't interesting to me quite the same way they were with the work we did in particular, but I'm a fan of the franchise. Now, that sounds like he says, no, I'm not willing to come back to it. But then he went on to say from there that I think if you're working on IP, whether it be Hellraiser or Friday the 13th, this doesn't belong to me. It belongs to everybody. This is not the ultimate Hellraiser movie. It is one Hellraiser movie. There will be others. There will be other Friday the 13th films. They will figure it out. The IP is too valuable. The fans want it too much. So no, I'll be the first person in theaters to figure out what they did. Of course, I'll think a lot about what we had, but no, and it goes the same for any of the stuff that we work on. I'm game as long as I get to keep making the stuff I'm passionate about. I'll be as grateful as I can be. So people are wondering, okay, well, he says no, then he says, oh, he's game. He says, oh, which way is this guy going to go? I have no fucking clue. I doubt he's going to come back to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, he could. And I haven't seen Hellraiser yet. I know you have. I'm watching it this evening. Only reason my wife wants to watch it with me, so we didn't get a chance last night, so we got to wait till tonight. I've heard good things. I think my understanding is you liked it. So It sounds like David Bruckner is doing good with these classic franchises. Do you think, from what you've seen with Hellraiser, and what else has he done? Has he done?
He did the night. If I remember, he did the Night House, which I honestly wasn't a fan of. He did.
That's right.
The Ritual, which is that really kind of fucked up Netflix movie.
The European. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where they go out to like the cabin and they're.
Yeah, it has like that weird fucked up creature or whatever.
Yeah,
I heard.
I remember that being alright.
He directed an episode of the original VHS called The Amateur Night, and he directed a movie called The Signal, which I think is a movie I never watched, but I heard some interesting things about.
Yes, I remember The Signal. It was interesting is a word.
Is he British?
Well, I mean, based on what you know about the guy and what because you've seen his most recent work, Hellraiser, which is similar, it comes from the same era. It's horror.
Yeah.
Do you think Friday the 13th would be a good fit for this guy?
Honestly, I think he could do it if he wanted to. I mean, you can't. When it comes to filmmaking, it's the director has to have passion for it. He can make a silly comedy. He could do like Paddington 3 or what. Paddington 3 has a director. He could do it, and sure, cool, whatever. I think after watching Hellraiser, I don't really want him to do. I honestly, I don't. Friday the 13th, I'm just not a huge fan of. So I probably would watch it, but I'm just not.
Clutch my pearls. No, we've
no, I
actually
mean,
talked about this off camera before.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th is, and I'm with you. Like I told you, I think we talked about this briefly the other day. Not this story, but just Friday the 13th. I grew up with Friday the 13th. I had a nostalgia for it, but I always kind of was like, it's not. It's okay. I mean, they get really fucking out there and weird, and they do. But I will say that last year, when I I went through and back to back watched every Friday the 13th film or Friday the 13th related film, from Friday the 13th all the way up to the reboot and Freddy vs. Jason and all that, which I've seen them all, but it's been a long time since I've seen some of them, so I wanted to watch them all and give them a review. I like some of Friday the 13th more now. Now there is like there are sections. Friday the 13th is like segmented off into like this era, that era, and that era. You know, I mean, they're very different clumps of films within this universe. But there are some Friday the 13th that I really enjoyed. Of course, you've got the original 3 that are more serious horror slashers, and then you've got the middle portion there up to around like really the rest of them before Freddy versus Jason that are 4, 5 are kind of and then like 6, 7, and 8, and 9 10 is at pretty much everything up to X. X was the culmination of we just don't give a fuck anymore. And those movies, like when I initially saw them, I didn't really care for them because that's not what I was looking for. But now I go in and I'm like, I had a really good time with these. I think it was 7 or Jason Goes to Hell. Jason Goes to Hell. I don't remember which one that is. Jason Goes to Hell is fun as hell, and he's hardly in it. The character is.
Was that the
Jason?
Was that with the really bad CGI, or was that Jason versus Freddy?
Freddy versus Jason had decent. I mean, decent early 2000s CGI. Jason Goes to Hell did have some questionable CGI. Not a lot because it was still the mid 90s, but it's a movie that with a rewatch I really enjoyed because I knew what I was getting into, and I went into it and just said, this is them just not really taking it serious anymore. That was really fun as hell. And Jason X is another one. It's got really bad CGI. That's one that is just so ridiculous and over the top. If you go into it just knowing what you're getting, that's a fun as hell movie.
Super Jason.
Now, Jason Takes Manhattan still sucks balls, but I mean, the other ones I actually enjoyed. And the 6th one, the one with the telepathic girl, I didn't like that one either. But all the other ones have something in them I enjoy. But yeah, we're getting off topic here.
No, but your original question, I mean, if David Bruckner wanted to come, wanted to come and do a Friday the 13th like he was doing, that's fine, sure. I mean, I'll check it out. It seems like he is in a spot right now where he can kind of pick and choose what he wants, especially after Hellraiser. So you know what, he's moved on. Somebody else to do, a Jason movie, a Friday the 13th movie, and it won't be him. He'll probably get to a point where he's going to start doing Marvel movies. Just wait and see.
Oh no. Don't say that.
He's gonna do Ghost Rider with Keanu.
No. Anyway, it sounds like to me, I mean, there's not a lot here, but it does sound like to me like, yes, there are some things that for the hopeful out there can cling on to and say, oh yeah, I think he might be willing to do it. I don't think so though. I look at it, I read these comments. It looks like this guy's he came to terms with it. He moved on, and he's not really wanting to get back into that again. Which I get. You have something you pour everything into for that long, you put all your hard work into for it to just be like done over. It goes nowhere. That's like all that work, all that time, and you're just like, fuck. And I get it. I get why you just kind of wouldn't want to come back. I doubt he thinks that would happen again, but it's kind of like, how do you get back into that? So I don't know. You guys let us know in the comments below. Do you think David Bruckner is going to come back for Friday the 13th? I don't, but do you think he should? Do you think he can or will? And if not, who do you think? What do you want to happen with Friday the 13th? Something's going to happen. They're going to make another movie. I asked this question before when we talked about it initially, but you think reboot, remake, sequel to what? I don't know. They've got multiple timelines at this point. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below.